Ain't no use in me starting with the peace greeting this time. To the brothers in the audience, I want you to forward this to ladies you know that have this problem. To the ladies in the audience who don't mean any harm, I want you to do the same thing. To any ladies that are listening that love to broadcast your strength or what you think is strength in the form of a bad attitude, I'm talking to you. Yesterday when I recorded, if you choose to debate with her, I won't front. There was something that sort of jumped into me and changed my attitude about something very important. That is this. I'm mentioning this hatred that I have developed, not because my own hatred is what matters, but rather because I know that if I've developed it and I'm conscious of it, others have developed it and they're unaware of it. So I'm letting you know right off the bat about this hatred. There's no use in me sugarcoating this. Consciously and subconsciously, black men, globally, and even other men, have grown to hate your body language, your gestures, for which you've become famous. Turning your head to the side, clapping your hands, grabbing air, rolling your neck, rolling your eyes, snapping your fingers, and even so much as sipping tea while you roll your eyes as if to say, girl, or when you say, oh, grrr, we're sick of that. We're tired of these things because we have to associate them with what's coming along with them. And that is not strength, but just a nasty attitude that you think is strength, for which you can then turn around and say that a man could not handle when a man can't handle it. Well, he couldn't handle my strength. It's not a man's job to handle your strength anyway, but strength by itself is fine, meaning resilience. Strength is not even a negative when a woman has it and she has control over it, as opposed to some inner man software in the subconscious controlling her. That's the issue. We don't like it when you grab the air when you're talking. We don't like it when you roll your neck, roll your eyes. Sip tea while rolling your eyes. Snap your fingers. We don't like it when you start arguing, getting up in people's faces, clapping hands and turning your head to the side. We don't like any of that diva shit. Raising your voice even, but that can happen at times for good reasons. But the other stuff, it doesn't. We come to realize it doesn't have any good reasons. And you think these are signs of strength and attitude, but in actuality, these are not. These are signs, well, yeah, it's a sign of an attitude, but not a sign of strength. And to be honest with you, these are signs of trauma. And you are not to blame for what someone else did to traumatize you. And I accept that a lot of sisters are traumatized. A lot of brothers are too. But the thing is that when you are traumatized and you start with all this stuff acting out this trauma, it is because you did not resolve the damn trauma. Or you picked these things up from somebody else and you thought it was cool. If your friend confided to you when you were young that daddy was digging him out, or that uncle was digging him out, or that their brother was digging him out, you may be traumatized like they are because you know what's going on. And that's okay. That's human compassion. And it can lead to people that were not directly victimized by something being traumatized by it. It can happen to males as well. It can happen. I understand that. I don't blame you for that. You feel the trauma, but it didn't happen to you, and you're bothered by it, but you don't know how to even tell someone that it bothers you. Well, you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to tell someone why it bothers you. You don't have to figure out how to tell someone. Your friend went through this, and even if you're not in touch with that friend anymore, it left an imprint on you. That's okay. I'm not going to blame you for that. But let's call it what it is. Trauma is not an excuse to blame the one that is not responsible for the trauma. Not when men do it, not when you do it. And since I hate these very body language gestures that are now peculiar to Western sisters, I'm going to tell you now, I myself would not come up to you if I was even single and I was making an approach, which I wouldn't do to one of you anyway. I would not come to you with certain body language gestures that would associate me with niggas that lived off of you and used your car while you were at work to go see other women and ate up your food, played video games on your couch, and did nothing other than slang that ding-a-ling. I wouldn't do it. And I'm going to tell you now, I know that if you ever gave one man in your past that kind of deal that was too good to be true, I'm not going to settle for any less from you. But I still would not associate myself with these guys in your mind because I don't start off that way. See, if you're not one of these ladies that gave one of these guys these deals, then I don't expect it from you. And I'm not that kind of guy anyway that would demand it. It's just if I find out that's what you gave someone else, you can't come to me with this BS later. And see, a lot of times, a lot of the trauma you have or that you're going through or the things that are bothering you, even if you don't want to call it trauma, are because you allowed some jungle bunny, I'm going to call it what it is, some spear chuck or some idness, negative stereotype, to come live off of you. And you carried the weight. You foot the bills. You paid the cost. Maybe you were the boss, maybe not. You probably weren't. Because you know doggone well that your vagina would dry up sooner if the man let you be the boss than it would if he let you pay the cost and he still insisted on being the boss. One is fair, the other one's not, but the fair one is the one that would dry your vagina up even sooner, and you kick him out. You already know this. It just takes a little longer when he lets you pay the cost, but then still insist on being the boss. That's all that is. Now, that being said, you're losing your sons. Your sons at this point, BGS has covered this. Black Ram covered this. Q Soul and Black, I think he may have. Your sons are turning away from sisters, even though that's what we're physically attracted to. And these are cats that are young. They ain't even got none yet. Nobody's been able to sexually imprint on them yet. And yet and still they're turning away from you and they're turning away from other ladies of your phenotype because of you. Because you're raising them and they see all this emotionalism and all the hand gestures and everything else, but they see what it comes with, a damn problem. You may say, I'm doing this because I want them to be ready for the world. Yeah, see, you're not doing this to your daughters in equal measure. You're screwing them up, but you're not doing the same thing to them. And there's another thing I'm going to tell you. These guys see, your sons at times, they might see when you bring it in, you rotate them in, you got one boyfriend now, another later, another later, another later. They see what's going on. And they realize that when the phone rings and you look and it's the guy that you don't really want, but he's trying to reach out to you and he's actually willing to treat you well, and you go, ugh, and you roll your eyes. And you clap your hands and say to the phone, you ain't the one I want to hear from, boo, and turn your head to the side. They realize, okay, this is the guy that's trying to be nice. And then when you bring some dude to the house and he ain't really done much, and he don't even know your kid, your boy like that, and your son sees him, don't really know him like that, and you screw him for a hell of a lot less than would it take somebody else to get just to get you on a date. Or when he sees you going on these dates for food, you come home by yourself and you bring in food home. And then somebody else is hitting that without even taking you nowhere. These boys, they see that. The problem is they think that Becky's not doing the same thing. That's the only problem I got with it. But when they look at you and they say, okay, she mom, I love her, but I'm not going to be with one of us because of this. This is what's out there waiting on me. No, I can't. I don't have a leg to stand on. That's your fault. You did that. You chose that. And they see that attitude and they see the hand gestures. And when they see young sisters with the same hand gestures, they're turned off. Believe you me, these things are not saucy. And no, as a matter of fact, a lot of brothers really don't think that stuff is cute on a Latina anyway. If they do, it's because they actually see a difference in the attitude. She may have that attitude if you do something wrong, but she will spoil you if you behave yourself. You do right by her. That's why they may tolerate that from a Latina. They may tolerate one thing from a Latina they've been with that they ain't gonna tolerate from a sister. You know what the difference is? She's done well for them as well. She's done nice things for them as well. She got a nice shirt for him, and he didn't have to be an idness to get it. She cooked for him, grabbed the plate, washed it off, sat down next to him and said, you got room for dessert. That's where the difference comes in. If you see that happening, because we men generally are consistent. Granted, we may have a type, but if you ain't the type, okay, we may friend zone you. And I mean authentically friend zone you. We may do that, okay, she ain't my type, but that don't mean she a bad person. We may do that. That doesn't mean we disrespect her. That doesn't mean we decide we're gonna use her. That's not how we do it. In most cases. At least those of us that you really ain't into. And so, no, I'm telling you now, your very gestures that you have learned to try to display some kind of strength really only display a very nasty, noxious attitude. And you are pushing men away. And so when your son don't want no parts of you, when he don't want no parts of a woman that look like you, or just is from the same race and cultural group as you, it is your fault, not his, not mine, not the TV's. None of that. It's you. Stop clapping your hands. Stop rolling your eyes, rolling your neck, snapping your fingers, tilting your head to the side, raising your voice about all this dumb stuff. At the end of the day, there are a lot of mean things that we're going to have to tell you, things that are not flattering. Either you can fuck the shuck up and listen, or you can't listen and you stay as you are and you keep dealing with the consequences. There is no alternative. There's no plan C. It doesn't work. In order to correct these things that you're doing, someone's going to have to tell you because you ain't figuring it out by yourself. Same way you look at men, and when you ain't getting what you want out of men, you're like, well, they ain't figuring it out by themselves. Yes, exactly. We can't. But this is something you could figure out by yourself by simply looking and seeing what other ladies are doing. And I don't mean that Becky that taught you this stuff that you took to the next level, not her, because she's losing her man too. And she deserves to. I'm glad for that. I mean, you could look at what the Thai lady's doing. You could look at that Vietnamese lady. You could look at that Chinese lady. Not necessarily in everything else either, but you could look at least how they don't mistreat their men. He takes the responsibility. He's the one in authority. That's all it is. And that very simple formula is one that you've looked at and rolled your eyes at and rolled your neck at. And so yesterday when I had this debate online, which wasn't too big of a deal, but it taught me something. A lady I know came in and told this wannabe shrink that was trying to psychoanalyze me, hey girl, I'm gonna inbox you, LOL. Now this is a lady I know. She didn't say nothing to me. She went straight to wannabe Dr. Neil and said this to her. That's the lady's last name. It's actually Neil. I'm gonna inbox you. And Dr. Neil decided, in response to her, she put up this GIF file. And it's just a simple animation that loops of a sister sipping tea and rolling her eyes as if to say, girl, that right there is a gesture that is noxious to many men. Some of them may not be conscious of the effects of that gesture because of what you've associated with, but I'm conscious of it. And that's why I'm telling you, because other men will be disgusted by these things subconsciously. They may not be able to articulate that just that body language drives them away. I'm telling you, you're going to drive a lot of men away with that. They see you do it and they run, it's your fault. They should have ran. You shouldn't be doing stuff like that. It's the whole attitude, really. These gestures come out of an attitude, but now they have become the signals for this attitude. And I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna get to a point where you may simply do that once. The older we get, the more likely this is to happen. You may do this once and for a legitimate reason, something really was stupid and just off the wall, and they may see you do it and not know why you're doing it, and they run, they hightail it out of there. Because see, just like when you're young, any little thing can turn you off. As we men get older, any little thing can turn us off. The difference is when we get turned off by certain things, there's much more of a substantial reason for it. It's not going to be like when we were little, we were in middle school, and you changed your mind about a boy you like because he wore a green shirt to school one day. It ain't like that. It's going to be more like, okay, every single time I saw this extra thing came with it. I'm done. I see the same signal. I better run. I could be wrong, but the chances are too slim of me being wrong. I need to run. Be safe. And another thing, when men correct you, as soon as you start saying, oh, you just mad because you didn't get none, or you just mad because X, Y, as soon as you start saying that, you become part of the problem. And frankly, there's another thing I'm gonna tell you, because this is war. If a man is simply mad because he did not get what other men got, that right there is enough of a reason to be upset. Because when a man didn't and someone else did, it's not because he's just bad or defective or something like that. It's only because of what he didn't know. Because men do not sign up to be treated as inferiors by the same lady that treated another man so much better. That's one thing we will never sign up for. And that's why it is that when you decide you're going to become a born-again virgin, we get insulted by that. How dare you? Born again? So who's going to be that first guy that has to wait, unlike any other man before ever had to wait? Why should any man be that first man to take that kind of insult off of you, knowing a bunch of others came along and didn't have to do that? Okay, so he has to, the man that marries you has to court you. What about the men you just fucking fornicated with? Why should, I mean, if you've done this before, why should another man come along and he has to court you? That's what men are going to say. Now that's if they know what you were like. And I ain't gonna front. You could decide when I'm gonna start over, turn over a new leaf. You could do that. But you're not gonna be able to hide it forever. And eventually the man is going to decide, no, wait a minute, somebody else has been getting this. Before I did all of this and paid and married, somebody else got all of this for free. You know what I'm about to do? Oh, I'm about to pitch a further mucking fit. That's exactly what these men are going to do. Let a man find out he married you and you were all chaste and everything. He had to wait, and then and he marries you only to find out later on that you were just wilding out when you were younger. He's not going to sit up and say, well, she was young, it's okay, unless he did the same thing. And we know doggone well, most men are simply not capable of that. And the men who were capable of that, when they get older, they don't necessarily settle down until, they're the ones that really don't settle down until they get old and really slow down, like ARC. So just go ahead and accept that. That's why it is that we get upset about this whole born-again virgin thing. Born-again virgin, so you had hookups before, little one-night stands. And I'm supposed to wait? No, that's okay. I mean, look, if we're going to be, if the society is going to be freaky, then it's going to be freaky. If it's going to be loose, it's going to be loose. I'm telling you, as a Muslim man who doesn't believe in fornication, you could not get out of me and many other men like me more than what you demanded of the last guy that we know about. You just can't. The least you took and accepted in your past will be the most any guy who knows about that is going to be willing to give. Because we do not accept being ranked as inferiors just like you don't. And one of the reasons why, because you may say, well, Black, I mean, we got to accept being ranked as inferiors. The difference is that you actually have control over where you're ranked. You just have to be mature about it when you're at a young age, that's all. And you won't do that. We don't necessarily have control. We know not to accept this because it's going to be dealt out arbitrarily based on dumb things like, he's taller, so he's going to get away with stuff that I can't get away with. We know that. Things that he didn't help and you don't help and I don't help. Things over which no one had any control will be the arbitrary reasons that one man will be treated better than the other, which is why polyandry ain't going to work and polygyny can. So you're going to have to hear a lot of unflattering things you're not going to agree with. And until the day you stifle not only the attitude, but the outward manifestations of it, you're going to get the same results. You're going to be left out in the cold. It's not going to bother me none. It's about you. You're going to take this advice? Because you've been at war with someone, and I, from the same camp with whom you have been at war, against whom you have been at war, I am still willing to give you this advice. Not that I think most of you are going to take it. I'm still willing to give it to you so that when you lose this war, the blood will be on your hands and not on ours. Because you ain't going to win. Right now, as it stands, as it is at this point, you got the laws that you want, and you're by yourself. Because you got the game rigged how you want it to be rigged, where we can't win and you can, and so men just simply ain't playing. And a lot of you were stuck by yourselves, roommates with each other, or living with cats. As you get older and you get wiser and you actually could be a better person to a man, you can't find them because you waited till you got too damn old. And guess who's happy? The men, not you. So in this regard, we're already winning when it comes to old age. Hopefully what I said won't be true, one day, but in the meantime, hopefully it'll help. Because believe you me, if it doesn't help, it's going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts us. Black heart, black mind, blackout, and black heterosexual non-select male power specifically to the men that you can't treat as equals to others just because you don't like it.